Hi everybody. Okay, so my next guest I met back in March when my children's theatre company were performing a night at the West End in the Follies Theatre, Folly Farm. He was the MD and pianist, and wow, just such a talented guy. And the shoes, literally, I'm so jealous of the shoes that this guy owns. They are insane. Please welcome my next special guest, the super talented Ben Papworth. Take a listen to our interview.
Epic. Okay, so my first question is, when you were younger, who were your musical influences?
Oh, wow. I grew up very much in the classical world. I started playing violin, so kind of one of my first musical influences was Vivaldi, Antonio Vivaldi, not kind of the one that you'd expect anyone in this industry to have. So I grew up with Renaissance and Baroque and classical music. I then moved to playing piano, and really people like Elton John, Queen, Freddie Mercury, people that played piano and sung at the same time. It was just an entirely different world to me that I really wanted to get involved in. So yeah, quite an eclectic mix. It changes a lot every time a new person comes on the scene or a new musical prodigy comes on. It changes a lot.
Yeah, so do you have a favourite genre of music?
Well, it'd be silly if I didn't say musical theatre right now, wouldn't I? No, musical theatre is my favourite, partially because I feel you can explore emotion and contextual feelings and today and how someone's feeling in today. And musical theatre is my favourite just because I can connect to it so much more. I do enjoy Lady Gaga though, and Gaga, watching her at the VMAs, I know.
But come on, I mean, who doesn't? I mean, she is just, that's somebody who is really current and is really modern in anything that she does.
Mm-hmm.
She's very she's got so many strings to her, but she's actually decent. Do you know what I mean? There's a force behind her as well as a voice. Not just, look how cool I look, but I can't sing.
There's reasoning behind everything she does, where it's nice that even though she doesn't have to justify why she's doing something, there's always, you don't question it in a way that you go, well, that's just for attention or that's just for the media. Everything that she does is just really well thought out, and she's a fantastic musician as well. Her musical knowledge could rival a lot of musicians that work in the industry. She's fantastic.
So going back to musical theatre, when you said that in the now, do you think there are any musicals that are underrated?
Oh well, yes and no. I suppose that's a personal thing, isn't it? My personal one's an underrated musical is Witch of the Beastwick. It needs to make a comeback, and that's just because Dana P. Rao, his writing is fantastic, and the orchestrations in that. I did it years ago at school. I love that. Whereas someone might say something like Ordinary Days is very underrated, even though it's just for piano and four voices. I think there's a musical that's really, really underrated. It's called Saucy Jack and the Space Vixens, which is
that one.
It's the most bizarre adultish musical of a bar in space, and there's all these ridiculous names, Saucy Jacks, and someone is being killed with a slingback stiletto, and it's ridiculous. If you get a chance to research it and find the music, one of the songs is called Glitter Boots Saved My Life, and it's fantastic. It's the Captain's Experience. I think it's fantastic. But I suppose underrated is, I don't know, what would be your underrated musical?
Oh, there's so many. I think Newsies.
See, I don't see that as an underrated musical, but then it's personal, what you believe is mainstream. Newsies is fantastic. You can listen to that. That's very uplifting musical. Very uplifting musical.
Yeah. Or Finding Neverland. I think that is. I think that's absolutely beautiful. I was having a bit of a warble earlier, and I was like, I love this one. This is just. It is, and it's so beautiful. There's so many. It's so lyrical. Listening to it, you're just like, oh, yeah, I know.
That's really, yeah, that is an underrated one. So bring back Witch of the Beast Strip. Bring back Witch of the Beast Strip. With Cher, preferably. That would be nice. Could you imagine?
God. Yeah, but the thing is, I could imagine.
Anything can happen. 2020's happened. 2021, Cher on stage, Witch of the Beast Strip, off with her.
Are you MDing it?
I'll MD it, sure. I mean, I don't want to give Cher notes. That would terrify the hell out of me. Could you imagine? With Cher, I do apologise. The word actually isn't make him. Could you imagine giving Cher notes? Who gives Cher notes? Probably her mum.
yeah. I think probably you just have to either like do it and then leg it, or just succumb to the fact that you're just not going to be able to.
And then have an assistant to just go, you can do that.
Yeah.
It's like it's a learning curve in life. If you can come back to me the next day and you've given Cher a note and she hasn't killed you, you're ready to work.
You're fine. You just put the advert out and people will go, why is this such good money? I'll do that. Yeah, I can be somebody's assistant. Then you figure out what it is and you think, oh God, no, no thanks. So people watching that might not know what an MD is. Describe the role as a musical director.
It depends in what capacity. I suppose it changes from day to day. I find it really difficult to describe to someone that I'm an MD and then they go, oh, what does that do? And I'm like, I don't know. It does all sorts of bits and pieces. Okay, so let's take this year, for example. In January, I was musical directing. I was teaching, singing in musical theatre and acting through song in Barcelona. So sometimes it's teaching and lecturing and mentoring and kind of helping people in that kind of frame of mind. Then February hit and I was working with Drew Baker, who some people will know Drew Baker, on Pirate Queen. So I was playing piano next to Claude Michel Schoenberg with Rachel Tucker and Hannah Waddingham in a room, and just I'll throw the names around as much as I can. And that was intense, completely different to teaching. That was actually performance and rehearsal and stuff. A lot of admin for that. Lots of emails. There's always lots of emails. Doesn't matter where you work in musical theatre, you are going to have emails. Then March, I was back in Barcelona, and then I came to Wales and did the gig, which was fun. So sometimes it's not West End, and sometimes it's doing in Wales, in Scotland. It's a mix. I think at the core of it, a musical director is maybe a pianist. You don't have to be a pianist to be a musical director. It helps in some aspects. You're a little bit of a vocal coach. You're not completely a singing teacher. I don't believe that being a musical director makes you just a singing teacher. You have to be very organised, because if you're orchestrating and arranging, writing out parts for musicians, you've got a deadline. You've got to get that done really quite quickly. And being able to make stuff up on the spot, I suppose, kind of being thrown stuff at you and you kind of go, okay, you have to be a yes man to some degree. That's being a musical director. Your director is kind of like someone's terrified of the director. The choreographer's only in like twice a week. You're the cast friend, and you're just going to go, right, yeah, it's fine. We'll make this happen. That's the musical director. You're the cast's friend.
That's so funny. That is exactly it. You're so right. Yeah. In anything I've ever done, I'm always like, they're your friend. Because, I'm terrible. Like, I'm always, they'll say this key and I think, oh God, okay, where am I going with that? How am I doing this? And they can just see it in your face, can't you? You can just see the terror when somebody says, so we're doing it in this key, and you're like,
fabulous.
And they're always the one that holds your hand and goes, it's okay. Gentle.
They are your friend, and they're your first port of call usually. If you're doing a show, you will interact with the musical director first and foremost before anything, because you've got to get the music done before you can go and dance to Cats or whatever it is. You've got to learn how many different cats there are. So yeah, I suppose being an MD is the same as any other role. There isn't a strict movement with it. I mean, I'm now programming shows for Zadell and bits and pieces and organising a festival, hopefully. It's all random, and I suppose for me it's you hone your skills on piano and music in the musical theatre industry, and you kind of fill in the gaps. Everyone kind of all hands on deck, fill in the gaps where it needs necessary filling. 1 minute you're playing piano, 1 minute you're painting a set if you're in a fringe show. done that before. Spray paint. In fact, no, wonderful story. I did Pyromania last year, which was a pirate show in Edinburgh Fringe, which was fantastic. I loved it to pieces. All the cast were on barrels with wheels on that were wheeled around the stage, which was fantastic and great. We had these plastic, if you go like to Home Base or B&Q, the little like fake wooden barrels, the plastic ones, the planters.
Yeah.
Well, we tried to put two of those on top of each other to make, and everyone just fell through them and they were dreadful. Eventually we found some. So I was rehearsing during day, and then I had to go and hire a van, drive all the way up to Cambridge and go meet this man who had 6 of these barrels, somehow Tetris them into this back of the van, drive back down to London. It was like 2 a.m. or something, screw these wheels into the bottom of these barrels, and then drive the next day to the rehearsal venue where I was like, right, back on the piano now. This is the musical director role that I signed up for, right? Sure, lovely. So it changes. Fill in the gaps. Fill in the gaps.
Do you love the versatility of it?
I love it. I think I'd get bored. I think I'd get very bored if I just had to sit down and do the same thing every day. I'm still exploring what I want to do. So yeah.
Brilliant. So this is a very open question. What has the road been like to where you are now?
I mean, I could say, it's been treacherous and difficult. My path has been very on the up. I've been very lucky. I've done a lot of the whole right place, right time kind of situation. I met Drew Baker, actually. I was moving down to London and I needed a job. And my housemate, who I currently live with, tagged me in a status from Drew looking for a marketing director because I worked in marketing in York. So I actually originally met Drew wanting to work for him in a marketing capacity. And he was very kind to me. He went, look, you'd be great here, but I think that you want to go more as an MD, etc. And I was like, well, yes, I do. So then there's my relationship with Drew Baker. It wasn't actually from being a musical director or being a pianist or anything. It was because I wanted to work in an office. But there's ups and there's downs, and there's jobs that you don't like, and there's jobs that you do like. I'm very much someone. A friend told me, you've got to have a checklist of 3 things when you're doing a job, and there's 3 whether you're going to do it or not. One of them is, will you enjoy the job? Are you going to enjoy working with the people? Is it something that's not on your CV right now that you need on your CV? And is it going to pay you money? You need 2 of those things to be able to do the job. If it's something you really want to do and you're really excited by it and it's not on your CV, but the pay isn't great, we'll do it because you can take the hit. If it's something that's not on your CV, but the pay's kind of good, you don't really want to do it, but it's going to give you money and a good CV, great. If the pay's fantastic and you really want to do it, but it's already on your CV, well then why not just do it? And I've kind of done that throughout my career. I say career, I've been in London for 3 years. In fact, it was 3 years yesterday I was in London. And I've had good jobs and bad jobs and small jobs and big jobs, and it's like this. But I look back on my 3 years and I go, I've had a really lovely 3 years of just keeping on. But I think my outlook on where I want to be changes every year. So I've really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to see what else happens post-COVID.
Yeah, of course. So do you think it's really important? So like when you were younger, but I assume that most people, very much like myself, I had a goal. This is what I wanted, and this is where I wanted to, this is how I thought I was going to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, as times have changed and you get older, that doesn't happen most of the time, not all the time, but that doesn't happen, and you take a different path. Do you think that that's a good thing to look at, that actually don't worry about this end goal that you so desperately want, because the journey on either getting there or getting somewhere totally different is much better? Absolutely.
It's fantastic to have a dream and to have a goal and to have those ideals of where you want to be in your career. But I think you can either go in there with going, well, this is what I'd like to do, but I'm open to other things that may take me on a different journey, and I'll explore those. If I turned around at the beginning of my career and said, I will only work in the West End, every job that I want is the West End, I wouldn't have worked. I wouldn't be here. I'd be back in York.
Yeah.
So financially and logistically, you kind of have to also do other avenues. But just because you do something else on the side. We call it side hustles and all sorts. You have your main hustle, and then you have your side hustle, whether it's teaching, you don't particularly want to teach, or whether it's, I don't know, writing or something, whatever it is. Just because you're doing it and it's making you money, or it's something different to what your ideal is, shouldn't be defeatist, shouldn't be negative. It's that you might actually find that you fall in love with it. It's absolutely fantastic to have that end goal.
Yeah.
But that end goal isn't set in stone, in the same way I don't know what I'm eating tomorrow. Whatever I eat tomorrow isn't set in stone.
So talk us through what you've been doing during lockdown.
I started knitting, which went well until I got bored. I've realised that I have an addictive personality, and I'll go, oh, I'm really excited by this, and then I'll just go, I'm bored now, and drop it. So I currently have an unfinished jumper that's 7 sizes too large for me in my bottom drawer. Besides that, I've been teaching, so I created some courses for music theory, because I have many qualifications in music theory. So I've been teaching that, teaching piano, doing some singing lessons, which have not been fun on Zoom. My housemate loves it because he's very much in the tech aspect of singing, and he's like, I can just talk to people about tech for an hour. And I was like, oh. What else? Singing, drinking a little bit too much, but that's fine. I bought lots of plants. I became one of those people that bought lots of plants.
Yeah.
What else? I went on walks. I did home workouts. They were fun for a while until I got bored. I almost ended up climbing the walls. I found myself about month 3. I was in my living room and I just went, oh, I haven't looked at the room at this angle before. This is exciting. And found myself going, oh, look at this. I was like, I need to leave. And then since kind of August, September time that's happened, I've been able to do socially distanced gigs outside. I've got some gigs booked in for September with Steph Parry, I believe. Have you spoken to Steph? You spoke to Steph? Yeah. So we sold out in 4 hours. I was very happy, very, very happy. We sold out in 4 hours. We've got another gig booked in.
She is very cool.
She's fantastic. I love her to pieces. I just get random voice notes from her all the time, or of her lifting or doing something with a cat.
Yes.
It was really difficult at the beginning because I was leaving the flat to go on my daily walk, my Boris walk, and whatever, and I got really down because my entire creative outlet is always outside. I always leave my flat. My flat for the past 3 years has been somewhere I rest my head, wake up, and then leave, and then go. And it's so busy and so full on in London. You don't have a flat as a home as you would do somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's full on, and I've never spent so much time, and all my creativity had to be indoors in my flat, and it really started to bog me down. Zoom happened, and we connections, and it all started to kind of even itself out. But it was so weird at the beginning of lockdown, thinking that every time I leave my house, I leave my piano, my singing, my talent, my creativity, it was all in the flat, and I locked it in the door, and I was like, I've got to get out of this frame of mind. So thank God for socially distanced outdoor performances. Yeah, that was weird.
It was a crazy time because I guess, like, for you and for a lot of people, like, life was so busy. It was so busy, crazy busy. Like, you did not know what the next, waking up in the morning was just like bam, 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 bam. Just so excited to go to bed.
When it happened, I was in Barcelona. when it happened, and I was in a meeting that went, you have to get out of the country really quickly. It was horrendous. I was waiting for a flight in the airport. I was voice noting all my mates, just kind of going, okay, so there's another flight that's gone, and I'm still not on a flight yet. I'm still waiting to get out. And I was on the last flight from Barcelona. Well, not the last flight, but one of the last flights from Barcelona back into the UK. It's horrendous.
God.
Horrendous. It was even worse. I was on my little flight tracker app and saw all the EasyJet or Jet2.com flights just kind of coming into Spanish airfield and then turning back round. And I was going, if I'm stuck in Barcelona for 6 months.
Oh my God.
But yeah, like you say, we're all running around. Everyone.
Yeah.
You don't walk in London, you run around. If you don't have somewhere to go to, I don't understand what you're doing in London. You should be going somewhere. It's like when someone walks leisurely in like central London, you go, well, I don't understand.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
Why? You don't have time. No, who has time to leisurely walk? I have time to leisurely walk everywhere now. It's quite nice. I'll make sure no one's behind me.
So talking about musicals then, how does working on new material differ from like the classics and established music? How does that differ for you?
I suppose it depends how early on in the stage you are. I was in Norfolk about a month ago for a week-long workshop of a new Sondheim song cycle, which was really exciting. But that was very early stage. We had the script writer in the room, and we were throwing Sondheim songs in places and moving them around and bits and pieces. Does this song work there? Does this song not work there? What do we want to emanate here? So it's that's very creative. That's a real creative kind of output. Working on a classic or working on kind of an established show is a little bit more difficult because obviously it's being written. It's done. People expect to come and see Les Mis. They expect to see people die on stage. You can't really change that. I mean, you can try. It's a different way of working, I suppose. By that point, you're interpreting what's on the page and bringing it out, and that's creating the finished product. When you're working with new writing and new musicals and developing shows, you're kind of in two frames of mind. You're trying to create a finished product and trying to create a show that people enjoy, but also showing that there's legs for it for someone else to come along with more money than we had at that moment and take it further to the next stage. Because of course, shows go through countless many rewrites. Shows still go through countless many rewrites. The script writer that I was working with is the script writer for Cabaret. So whenever Cabaret goes out on tour or goes somewhere else, he's the man they call in whenever they need to add something in or change it in bits and pieces. He's the one that does all that, which is really cool. Really, really cool to work with. So really different, I suppose, from my point of view, as if you're right at the beginning of a new musical or new work, there's a lot more creative and spontaneous output that you need to be emanating for it. If you're doing an established show, you're interpreting the music, interpreting the dots, helping people find their way through it, telling a story that an audience expect in a new and exciting way, whilst still holding on to the structure that is the song. It's two very different ways to work. Very, very different ways. If
you could put together a girl band, 5 or 6 members of the girl band, who would you choose to be in your girl band?
Oh, wow.
I love these questions because people just go, ah!
Oh, flip. Okay, mine might be a bit off the wall. I would have Celine Dion because she's the queen of riffing, so she can do all the clean, lovely riffs. Okay, that's one. Oh, I don't know. Am I wanting a cohesive girl band, or am I just putting like my dream? Let's go pop. So Celine Dion, Lady Gaga, Lizzo. What's her face that won Eurovision? Crazy Lady. The one that Netta.
Oh,
Netta.
Crazy.
She comes with the equipment. She does all that. So who have we got? Celine. Okay, did I say Celine? Gaga, Lizzo, and Netta. How many have I got? Have I got 2 more spaces?
You've got 2 more. Yeah.
Oh, 2 more spaces. Okay. We're bringing Aretha Franklin back because we want some soul in there. And and one that people won't know, Cassie. What's her name? You'll have all seen the video absolutely ages ago. Let me get my saved posts. All posts. Very organised. Cassie. Oh no, Callie Day, sorry.
Callie Day.
Do you remember there was a video a couple of years ago of the woman that sang? She's got this ridiculous range. Do you remember this?
You'll remember.
And then she just goes ridiculous. Wait, I'm so excited by this. She's fantastic. There you go.
God.
Callie Day, Aretha Franklin, Lady Gaga, Lizzo, Netta, and
Celine Dion.
Celine Dion. That's a powerhouse.
Could you imagine trying to work with all 6 of those women?
Well, have you ever seen? Do you remember VMA? Not VMAs. VHS did years ago. Divas. Search Google VHS 1, Divas 1, Divas 2, and something, and it was Carole King, Celine Dion, Aretha Franklin, Tina Turner, Whitney Houston. They're all on one stage, and they just basically went, how much money can we just throw at something?
Yeah.
And it's all of them singing. It's so incredible. With a very young Mariah Carey in the beginning of her career, kind of at the side, just like who
are
I'm
you?
happy to be here.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay.
God.
Yeah, but those have been done before. They're fab. I would love to see one of those again. We don't get any like Band-Aid or Feed the World, Make It a Better Place, all that kind of stuff anymore, do we? That doesn't happen.
There you go, Ben. That's your next project. You're bringing.
Yeah,
that.
I'll just I'll get on the phone to Celine and. Yeah. Well, it's fine. I'm giving notes to Cher, so I'll just be like, Cher.
Yeah.
I know I told you was slightly flat on that note, but
we need Celine.
but we need Celine. You can sing alto too.
Do you have any of your favourite vocalists or artists whose music you'd love to be seen turned into musical or a soundtrack?
Oh, this is a nice question. Years ago, I used to look at Lily Allen's music and want her music to be put into a musical theatre. Same with Amy Winehouse. Yeah. I think Gaga makes her own shows and makes her own musicals anyway, so that's already done. Yeah, just they were nice. Lily Allen and Amy Winehouse had this kind of like being able to tell stories through their music, and even though it was a pop song, there was a beginning, a middle, and end to most songs actually, and there weren't lyrics of like apple butterfly flying around and bits and pieces. It was a story. Kate Nash was fantastic at those. Yeah, I think that's quite an easy one actually.
Awesome.
Lily Allen or Amy Winehouse.
So, do you have any advice for people who might be looking at a career within the creative arts?
Any advice? I think going back to what I previously said is if you are looking to have a career, don't worry if you do go off on a tangent for 6 months, 3 months, whatever, in bits and pieces. It isn't you saying, oh, I'm not going to be that. It's you exploring. I think we're very lucky as creative individuals that we can dip our fingers into many more pies than going if we worked in an office where it's all going up in a linear scale. We can move and it's all very flexible. Don't get too bogged down if you don't compare yourself to other people constantly. Yeah. I've been a victim of that, and I've compared myself to many musical directors and vocal coaches and bits and pieces, and you can go down a very dark pit of despair. Everyone's different. Everyone has a different timeline and which route they've gone through. Oh, that's a good one. Just because you didn't go and train at arts ed, blah, 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 doesn't mean that you won't. Training is training. You get out of it how much you put into it. There are people that will be at arts ed at Mount View and at Lane and places like that if they're not putting stuff into it, then they're not going to get anything out of it. Your facilitator or your lecturers or your teachers are there to help you no matter what institute you're in. Yes, sometimes geographically some come with benefits, but as long as you're listening and as long as you're paying attention and having a little bit of a goal, and you can take what you'll do well. I think my biggest one is just carve your own path. Don't compare yourself to others, and your own path will not be linear. You will do all sorts of random bits and pieces, and reflect. It's nice to reflect on where you've gone, where you've been.
Well, you've been a star. Thank you so much.
Oh no, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. And your hair looks fab.
Oh, thanks. It's red and it's short now.
It is. It was long and brunette. Now, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, he remembers.
I'm impressed.
Thank you. So am I. I can't remember my own name and what happened yesterday. Never mind.
I will never forget your shoes from that night.
Oh, the heels.
I'm not gonna lie, I was so jealous.
They're still here somewhere.
I'm so because I can't walk in flat shoes, let alone heels.
Fair enough. They're fun. They're fantastic. I really enjoy them. They're a great confidence booster. If anyone wants to try wearing out some ridiculously high heels, do it. You feel on top of the world, partially because you're looking down on the world. But they're great. I love them. They're fab, and they're a conversation starter.
I bet. Well, almost all of the girls in my group were like, "Oh, I want to wear those. Do you reckon he's got those in a size this or a this?" And I was like, "I don't know. You can ask him."
I bought them for £30 online about 2 years ago and never looked back.
So you haven't got a different variety of them then?
Oh, I have few. I have more black heeled boots depending on what size I want. I got some orange stilettos. They're fun. Orange 6-inch spindly stilettos. They were for.
Wow.
No, I can't play in them. I'm terrified that if I put the stress on the heel would just snap. That's the good thing with a block heel if you want to play piano. They're not going to snap. But yeah, I have some of those, and then countless many other pairs of bits and pieces. I love shoes. I really love shoes. It was really funny. Last year at least. In fact, it must have been a year ago now. I was dating a guy, and he went into Louis Vuitton. He was buying some shoes, and I was just like, why would anyone? He was buying trainers. I was like, why are you buying trainers from Louis Vuitton? I'm like, you have to buy heels. I want to show off that red bottom, and that's a goal for me in my life, is to own a pair of Louis Vuitton heels. I will. Yeah.
And you will show them off.
Yeah, I'll show them off for Russell Gray. He was devastated when he thought I'd lost them.
You've been an absolute gem. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
Worries, and take care, and I hope it all goes to plan.
You too, and have all the fun teaching and have all the fun learning for the people watching. And we'll see you on the other side.
Thanks so much. Take care. Speak to you soon.
Bye.
Thanks so much, Ben. Amazing to chat to you. Here's hoping that the theatres are going to be reopening very soon. Thank you so much for sticking with me. Hope you have a lovely week, and I'll see you again for another special guest. Here's a sneaky peek as to who is up next. Take care.